Personal finance is a term that covers managing your money. It is about meeting personal financial goals, whether it's having enough for the short term financial needs, planning for retirement, or saving for your child's education. It all depends on your income, your expenses, living requirements, and individual goals and desires. And therefore, coming up with a plan to fulfill those needs within your financial constraints. To make the most of your income and savings, it's really important to become financially literate so that you can distinguish between good and bad advice and make smart decisions. In this video, I would like to share with you 5 items related to personal finances which, if adopted, will help you to get on the path to financial stability and financial security. These items are not new. They are also not being tested to check if they work. There is a famous quote, "Old is gold," which actually means that old values are upheld not because they are old, but rather because through the ages they have proved themselves right. And such is the case with these 5 personal finance tips. They have stood the test of time and they still work. It turns out that the keys to financial security are not a secret, but are they too simple and straightforward for our sophisticated age? I leave that to you to judge, but remember these tips have stood the test of time. But first, take a moment to like this video so that it stays with you as your reference, and subscribe to our channel to continue accessing content that will help you to grow, succeed, and find solutions to your business, career, and life issues. So let's get started. The first thing is spend less than you make. Although it sounds very simple, but in many cases it's easier said than done. But it's a very powerful thing. It is hard to save if there is nothing left to be saved. Spending more than you make not only drops you into a financial hole, but it leads to stress and hardship and conflict. Your ability to save is not a function of how much you make. It's a function of how much you spend. But curtailing spend habits is very hard. So let me ask you this. Do you like going to bed at night knowing that you owe something to someone? Do you like waking up in the morning knowing that you are deeper in debt than you were yesterday? Breaking poor spending habits is hard, but it is harder still to live with an increasing mountain of debt and interest that results from poor spending habits, and with that mountain of debt comes the interest burden. Once in debt, interest becomes your companion every minute of the day and night, and you cannot ignore it or run away from it. You cannot dismiss it. And whenever you get in its way or cross its course or fail to meet its demand, it crushes you. Interest burden crushes you. So spend less than you make. You can't get out from the burden of debt and interest until you do. You can't start saving until you do this. So spend less than you make. The next I would say is keep your fixed costs low. The most prudent thing you can do when it comes to financial security and financial spending is to keep your fixed costs low. It turns out that fixed costs are exactly what they say. They are fixed. If you get a big house payment, you're going to have a big house payment for a very long time. A big car payment is the same thing, and those things are due every single month. These are lifestyle choices that can strain your financial security. So if you've got a large house payment, there are fewer things that you can do with the money that's remaining with you. House payments, car payments, installments, cable, internet, phone bills, etc., etc., all these things add up. The more your income is pledged to meeting these fixed costs, the less financial flexibility you have. So keep your fixed costs low. And this one is an important one. Create and use a budget. In fact, nobody likes to talk about budgeting. But if we don't track our spending tends to get away from us. When it comes to budgeting, it's a pretty straightforward equation. We have inflows and we have outflows. If we have inflows that are higher than our outflows, we have a surplus. But if our outflows are higher than our inflows, we have a deficit. Now, you tell me which is easier, to increase your income or to decrease your spending. For most people, you have more control over your spending than you have over your income. But if you want to have control over your spending, you need to track your spending also. And that brings us to budgeting. A budget has two essential elements. One, you've got to write things down. If you are not tracking your expenditures, how do you know what you're doing? If you're not writing it down, how can you keep track? And tell me this thing. What happens to the following things if you don't measure or monitor them regularly? For example, your weight. If you don't monitor your weight, it doesn't tend to go down, it tends to go up. Your bank account. If you don't monitor your checking of your account balance, it tends to go down rather than going up. If we don't keep an eye on things, then they're typically going to go in a direction we don't want them to go. So step one in budgeting is you've got to write things down. And step two is you've got to develop a plan. You've got to write that plan down. A plan that is not in writing is just a wish. We have got to have a plan to reduce our debt. We have got to have a plan to start saving. Saving for emergencies, saving for retirement, saving for investments, etc., etc. A prudent lifestyle and living within a budget gives us that financial security and flexibility. So we have got to track our expenditures. In order to spend less than what you make, you need to track what you spend. Be watchful of clever and complex investment schemes. Making a bad investment will make you lose it all. Maybe you finally got yourself out of the debt burden. You finally have enough money to start putting a little extra away, and then a clever person tells you about this great investment idea that is guaranteed to provide you enormous returns if you act now. And before you even know it, all your money is up in smoke. Your hard-earned money, savings are gone and you are back to square one. Well, once you have put yourself in a position where you can start to save, please remember that if you're considering a personal savings or investment plan and it seems clever or very complex, it's almost certainly a very bad idea. There are many people getting caught red-handed as a result of creating get-rich-quick schemes that will surely fail. And there are so many people around you who have lost their life savings to these get-rich-quick schemes. And you don't want to be one of those people. The truth is, there is no shortcut to accumulating wealth. The way people accumulate wealth is through one of the following methods. First, you have got some specialized skills of some sort. You could be a great sports person, or you could be a great doctor or surgeon, or a great architect, or maybe a great stock market expert. Being great at something involves a specialized skill, and this will often result in wealth. Second, you have got some awesome business ideas. Like if you talk about Apple, Facebook, Microsoft, Google, etc., etc. All of these began with some great idea and from a small group of people. And third, you may be lucky. You will win the lottery. You will be born to wealthy parents. You will be standing at the right place and at the right time when someone else has a great idea and starts a business, and you get lucky and get wealthy. There are lots of rich people who are there just because they are lucky. But being lucky is not a great strategy. And finally, for accumulating wealth, that brings us to the point number 5, which is save early and save often. Just start putting a little money away each month. Put it in the bank. Accumulate a little savings. With a little savings comes a little peace of mind. You are not only earning a return on your money, you are sleeping better at night. I found that I sleep better knowing that at least I have some money in the bank. But you may say, I am not going to get rich quickly putting my money in an ordinary savings account, and that's earning only a petty single digit return. Well, that's absolutely right. You're not going to get rich that quick. Long steady savings is how most people get wealthy in the long run. Long steady savings and savings is addictive. A basic savings account at a bank, that's good enough for most people to get started. And once you put your money in there and you check it frequently, you check that balance just like a scorecard. Now people may say, but a savings account is not going to earn my rent and other expenses and other things. Well, you are right. If you want to pay the next month's rent and pay your other expenses, you need to get a job. If you want to save, just put it in the bank and put the money away for some time. If you want to invest in the stock market, you should invest in some sort of diversified fund based on your risk appetite. That is, how much of a risk you can take on your money. That's what I do, and that's what most wise people do as well. So I'll give you some surefire investment advice. Surefire advice is this. First, diversify. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. So if you're going to invest in the stock market, diversify. Don't put all your money on one stock or just a few stocks. Second, buy and hold for the long term. Investing in the stock market is a 20-30-year-old game. You're not investing in the stock market to earn your next month rent. So with this advice, you can get some financial stability, security, and flexibility. Let's agree to do the following. Spend less than what you make. And how do you do that? First, be watchful of tying up your income with a lot of fixed costs. Adopt a prudent lifestyle. You know how to do that. Be a little careful on the apartment you get, the house you buy, the cars you buy, the clothes, eating out, and other expenses. So be prudent with your lifestyle. And well, that means that you will need to develop a budget. That means you will need to plan in advance and regularly measure where you are standing financially. If you're not regularly checking on that thing, on your financial standing, you know what that means? It means it's bad news. You need to stay on top of this one. Finally, once you're in a position to save, prepare yourself for the long haul. People accumulate wealth through long, steady savings. Avoid those clever get-rich-quick schemes that we talked about. And they will promise you out of this world returns with little or no risk. And that just doesn't happen. Invest for the long term. You do all of these things and you will increase your chances of being financially secure. So wish you all the best. Hope you found this video useful. Take a moment to like this video and subscribe to our channel as we regularly post content to help you grow and succeed. Thanks for watching.